like any issues between
Last
us.
week? No, 2 years ago. But it is true. It is true. This is what makes my spouse happy.
I am going to share 5 things that I think we practice that improves our marriage or helps our marriage or benefits our marriage. And Ibrahim also has 3 or 4 things that he thinks that we practice that improves our marriage. But I don't know what he chose and he doesn't know what I chose.
Yeah, I want to see what.
So we'll see.
Maybe we'll coincide. So
Maybe.
that'll be nice.
So who's going to go first? Rock, paper, scissors? Rock, paper, scissors. Then you won. So you go first or I?
I choose. You go first.
Shouldn't we give like a little intro, like who we are, like where we met, how long we're together? So Ibrahim and I'm from St. Lucia. Ibrahim is from Sierra Leone, and we met in Cuba while we were studying medicine, and we got married. We got married in 2018.
Okay.
We got married in 2018, so this year we would be married for 5 years.
Yeah.
Right?
So we'll be married for 5 years.
But
we've known each other since 2011.
Right.
So that's almost 12 years.
Wow.
Yes. At least 10 of those 12 years we're very good friends. And then we've been married for 5.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
So that's a little backstory. We don't we're not approaching this video as people who've been married for so long or who have the perfect marriage and we're here to share advice. This is just, things that we do that we think benefits our marriage, and we would like to share them and hope that it can help you in your marriage this year. Let's talk about my first one. So one of the things that I think that we do that really helps us is our weekly meeting. Okay. Is that one of yours?
That's my first one. But something specific in the weekly meetings so I'll get into that. But yes, that was my first one on the list as well.
Okay, so we have a weekly meeting, and we have like this template that we got from Felicia Masonheimer on her website. It has like a marriage journal weekly thing. It just has some questions that helps us go through the week and different aspects of our marriage that we get to discuss and plan for. So we talk about our schedule, what our schedules are going to look like. We talk about the kids, if there are any discipline issues. We talk about any projects we have to do in the home. I think it also
just various different aspects, essentially, to just keep abreast.
Yeah. But I feel like it embarks a little bit of everything. So it keeps us on the same page. Spiritual, even sex too. Like it helps us talk about sex, the kids and discipline issues, and like any issues between us, like if I'm harboring something against you or something like that. So I feel like that has been really, and we only started it maybe like about 6 months, maybe. Has it been a year?
It's been almost a year.
Almost a year. Yeah. We've been doing it for the last year.
I can't remember how long we've started it. It feels like we've been doing it forever.
I know.
Because sometimes you do those things, but not formally do it. And so because we have a very busy lifestyle and both of us are working professionals, it was important and prudent for us to take the time and say, okay, we're going to do this and we're actually going to be intentional about doing this at a particular set time, and we're going to talk about these topics, and this is what we're going to discuss. And so, yeah, that has helped a lot. What about the meetings was you liked most? Was it just the idea of the meetings as a whole?
So one, I feel like it gives us an opportunity to talk about a lot of aspects, things that probably might not come up on the regular, like sex, for example. Like you don't just come up and be like, hey, how's our sex life? Is it good? Like I feel like it provides that opportunity to talk about different aspects of our life. So it makes sure that
spiritual aspects. Yeah. How's prayer? How's this?
So it puts us on the same page, and then it sets us up for the week. And that's very key for us, at least, because we have like our work schedules. I feel like with our work and having 2 little children, like it would be easy for us to like be dissociated. Like you're doing your own thing, I'm doing my own thing, and then we just coincide, for like a couple of things, and then we live in our own life. But I feel like this kind of, senses us back to each other. So that's what I like most about it.
For me, it was first on the list because the entire idea of this video. If you haven't watched the other videos, you probably need to go back and watch on the faith video and the health video, because it's talking about different things that you could do essentially to improve your life in that area. Specifically, going down on marriage. The entire idea is things that we could do that improve your marriage and solve the things that we're doing. The meeting is an important thing, but there is something specifically that we talk about in the meeting that I think has been good. Whether or not you choose to do the meeting in its entirety, whether you go and get a template
Which,
and decide
by
to do
the
it
way, we
with
kind of adjusted it
for our
our
own.
thing
Yeah,
because,
it
for
was a
example, Felicia and her husband, like, they homeschool and
mhm.
they have their own farm and stuff like that. So,
So
like, it's
yeah.
catered to them, but we had to like tweak just a few things so that it caters more to us.
Yeah, so you could always adjust, add
Yeah,
things that you think
and
are missing.
I'll have a link to it linked in the description.
Yeah, so they could have access to it. Um, so I was saying, for me, one of the things, my first tip or advice, you could say, to married couples, especially specifically married couples, is conflict prevention. I feel like there's a lot of focus on conflict resolution.
Also, your favorite part is when it says, "Is there anything in the last week that's been bothering you, or
Yes,
like you holding
yes,
against the
and I think
person?"
that that's good.
Yeah.
That's something that's not given, that doesn't get enough credit, because you will find lots of books, and lots of advice that people tell, which is a good principle, on conflict resolution, and that as a couple you'll always have little conflicts here and there. Some of them can escalate to major conflicts, and you should always be able to know how to be able to resolve those conflicts, those issues when it arises. So knowing how to speak, knowing how to control your anger, knowing what to do when you're upset, and knowing how to just control yourself, and different things. That there's a lot of books and material on that, but you don't hear it being said often about conflict prevention. And I feel like over the course of a marriage, you can have little things that build up, that can be an issue, that can make somebody get upset. It might not be maybe a big issue, but it's something that maybe they don't like, but they will might just suppress. And I feel like that question in the meeting where it says, "Is there anything?"
Which by the way, I'm always
Oh
the one.
yes.
I'm always the one like, yes, I have something that I didn't like, and he's like, no, I don't have anything. I'm like,
So you realize this is a good advice for men, especially because I don't know if it's I'm not being sexist, but usually women, tend to get emotional, and there are things. It's not unusual, and the men will agree with me on this, that you have some argument, and then your wife brings up something 4 years ago, and you're like, "What, last
I
week?
find
No,
that
2 years
very
ago." But it is true. It is true. Like I'm not saying men don't do it, but the high probability is that you get women doing those things in relationships, because they tend to sometimes take things and they just keep it, and then months later they bring in back something that happened
I'm very guilty of that
that
though.
wasn't. No, you're not. That doesn't really resolve. It has not been really been resolved. There's no closure, and sometimes if those things are not addressed, it can be repetitive. And so something that could hurt one, or both persons in a relationship could happen. And if it's not addressed, it can be repetitive. And the other benefit I find is that, yes, you can, I don't know, maybe you could have a couple, they go out, they with their friends, and maybe the man or the woman makes a joke that the other spouse or the partner doesn't like. And maybe if they address it at that point, tempers could flare. But usually, if it's not addressed, it just gets pushed to the
Yeah,
side,
because
and it's not addressed.
that is something that I actually do. So because I know like we have those weekly meetings, sometimes like if something bothers me, like he did something that bothers me throughout the week, I might not bring it up because I might be like, should I bring it up? Should I not? But then I'll probably make a note in my phone and be like,
And then when
and
we
then
talk,
when we
when
have
we
the
have
meeting,
those
I'll be like,
meetings,
well, when you did this,
it was not, and then we
right?
talk about it, and
Yeah.
the atmosphere in which that happens, that conversation happens, is a safe space, because it's like, hey, you said something, I think you were right, but the way that you said it, I didn't really like the way it made me feel this way. And it lends to open
Yeah,
conversation
I think it
where
really does.
you can really be iron out the little things,
And
the
so that way
little
nothing builds
foxes.
up.
So it's those little foxes and those little things that can really affect a relationship on the long term. So for me, generally, that particular aspect of it, even if you don't do the entire meeting, but every now and then you and your partner, you could make it a point to just sit down and discuss. And hey, is there anything that I've done lately that could upset you? And you will be surprised how sometimes there are certain things that you didn't think much of, and but your
Yes.
spouse noticed, right? And it goes both ways. Like there's something you were not thinking, but you were not. It was not with any malintention or anything, but maybe it came out sounding wrong or something, and it rubbed your spouse the wrong way. And it's always nice to actually clear the air and speak about those things in that safe space.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
it's usually it's good, and I find it prevents, like if you do that every week or every 2 weeks, you're going to realize that it's almost like it wipes the slate clean every time. So every 2 weeks it's like a reset, so you don't have something happening 3 months later and then you're like, but I never knew she was feeling this way, or I never knew he was feeling this way, or he felt this way, or those kind of things.
All right, so I gave mine. Now it's your turn.
Right. So my second point, something that we do, actually, it's a mentality shift that I feel like since we've been married, it's something that I've realized that I've come to develop that I feel like has helped me, and that is negotiating. Because there are times where I feel like I maybe prefer doing something, and you prefer doing something else, and
So,
so
for context, he's a
yeah.
homebody. He can stay in the house for weeks without going out,
COVID was fine for me.
and he will not
Seriously.
have any issues. I like to go out. I really like to go out.
Put your comments down and tell us which type are you. Are you somebody that likes to get out of the house, or you find staying home, a book, a good novel, good TV show, or a movie?
So that's
Anyways,
context. So in other
yeah,
words, like
yeah.
there's always
There's
like whenever we're free, I'm always like, oh, let's go to the beach, let's go this place, let's go that. He's like, I just want to watch the football game. In fact, I think he's probably referencing Manchester's play. You wanted to watch the game, but I wanted to go for a walk. I think, right?
And so we had to like
We had to
reach an
negotiate,
accord
right? So we had decided that we would go out just before the game.
and
You
then
would miss
come
out like on the
like
first few
five,
minutes
ten
or
minutes
something,
and then come and
and then you would
budget
watch
it.
the game.
And so I feel like compromise
Yeah,
essentially,
yeah.
but compromising not with I have to, like like it's the attitude with which you compromise, because at the end of the day you're cohabiting with somebody else, and so having their best interest and knowing that, okay, this is what makes my spouse happy, this is what they will like, and knowing, having that in mind, and not just being selfish and, okay, this is what I want to do and it's all about me, but having that selflessness and thinking about the other person as well and about their happiness, and it creates it feeds a conducive marriage, I find. And so that was one of the things I learned in marriage, about almost 5 years in marriage,
You
and
know,
it was really beneficial. It's been
just
good.
piggybacking off of what you said, that one of the just like relating number one and number two, because I think you had said you were talking about conflict resolution,
Mhm.
but the thing that you just said now, you said that you have to think that the other person has your best interest in mind, and I feel like
Important.
that is
Hmm.
something that actually that I have had to learn, but I feel like it has been so helpful knowing that, like if I come home and the house is dirty or something like that, and I'm disappointed that Ibrahim didn't do as much as I wanted, it's not that he sat down there thinking, ooh, I'm gonna leave all the dishes there so Lena can wash after work, or he's not sitting down there thinking about that. And like I have to reframe the way that I think, in the sense that what he does that I have a problem with, he's not necessarily doing it
Malevolently.
exactly like
It's
I
not.
have.
It's not wickedness.
Exactly. And it's so surprising, like
Hmm.
you,
You
like
think
that's the
about
first thing
it.
that
That's
comes
a
to your
first
mind,
thing,
like, oh, like he's doing this because
because
of
that's
this.
that's how you train. That's how you see the world. That's how you interact with the world mostly. And
Like whenever
so
somebody does it
whenever
against you.
something whenever somebody does something, maybe they intentionally doing
Mm-hmm.
it, or they just looking after their own interest. And so even in friendships generically, um, finding a friend that really and truly has your best interest at heart, that's happy when you making strides, that's something that's rare. And so when you come into a marriage and you kind of have those reservations about your spouse, because maybe you don't want to be vulnerable or whatnot, it's easy for the devil to put ideas in your head. And for me, what I've realized is, when it's mutual, it's the most beautiful thing that can coexist, when you kind of have that the best interest of the person at heart and the other person reciprocates it. I think it's just fantastic.
Okay. All right. So to recap, we spoke about having a weekly meeting, and then we also spoke about being able to compromise.